Okay, here we have a 2010 Chevy Cobalt. We're going to be replacing the alternator on it. It's a 2.2 liter engine, and the alternator, as you know, I'm sure you're aware, it's in a fairly tight spot down in the bottom over here. So let me get some tools, and I'm going to show you exactly how to replace it. Okay, the first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be removing this assembly right here because it covers the alternator. We're going to remove this clamp right here and slide it back. We're going to take that hose off right there. We're going to disconnect this snorkel right here. We're going to take this clamp off right here, which is fairly simple. You just unscrew it. All right. Next thing we're going to do is down in this side right over here. You'll see down in the bottom here, there's a little clip that holds it in place. And what you basically do is you get underneath this clip, just catch the screwdriver underneath the bottom of it, and then you just pry that clip up, and then we're going to take this out like that. Alright, we're going to relocate this because we're going to definitely need it again later. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this off right here, and you just do that with a pair of pliers. You just squeeze it together and push it up here, and then just rotate this just a little bit so you can get it off there easily, and I'll show you how to pull that off. Take that hose off. Relocate this cover right here. Take it up enough the car, get it out of our way. This just pulls right up and off. It just pushes right into these pieces right here, and it just comes right out. And down underneath the show you real quick. Down underneath here where the air intake is right here, we're going to be removing this screw right here. Not removing it, I'm sorry, just to loosen it up so we can slide the assembly off. You don't have to take it all the way off, you just have to loosen a little bit, and then you should be able to pull the assembly up and off of the car and relocate it. And now, as you can see, the alternator is a lot easier to get to than before. Let me take the fan belt off the car first, and let me grab some tools, and we'll come right back. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take the wheel off on the right side of the car, and the reason we're going to do that is because we need to get inside over here to release the fan belt. So what we're going to do is we're going to take out this screw here and these two clips right here, and we're going to remove this cover. So let me pull them off and I'll show you how it goes. Okay, get these clips off is just get underneath here with a screwdriver and you pry on it and they just come right out. When you pull it out, you're going to take the whole assembly totally out. That's what they look like. And we're going to need to use these over again, so don't lose them, don't break them. Alright, fairly easy. Right, you just pull up this piece right here, and then you take the whole assembly right out. And we have another one down at the bottom there we're going to be removing. That underneath here. Takes that out. And then we're going to remove the bolts right here. These little tiny bolts that hold it in place right here. Unscrew them. Same thing underneath the bottom right here. You may be able to just loosen it to pull it down out of the way, so we'll see how it goes without taking the whole thing out. Okay, I do see another clip right underneath here. Pry it out. I'm going to pull the whole thing totally out. And let's see how much room we got. We can probably just do it just like that so we can get in there. And just leave it just like that. This is the tensioner right up in here. This piece right here is your tensioner. And what we're going to do is we're going to get in here in that little notch right there with a 3/8 drive ratchet, and we're going to pry up a little bit on it, and we're going to remove the fan belt. So let me grab a ratchet and I'll show you how that's done. Okay, after looking how close this is, how tight everything is in here, I am going to be removing the shield underneath the bottom here to give us a little more room to work on it. So we're going to take out this other screw right up underneath here. And then we're going to take out this one here, and we'll pull that cover off. Gives us enough room now to get up underneath here and take out that fan belt off the idler pulley. So I'm just going to show you this is a real tight squeeze up in there, but there's a tool that you can get in there with. It's a very thin wall, and you can get in here and just release the tension on the belt, and you take it off the pulley, and then you can let it back up. Alright, now the belt is released. I'm going to take it off the alternator, and we'll take it right off the car. This is actually wedged up against there. We're going to leave it right there for now, or you can just pull it out of the way, whatever you choose. I'm leaving it in there because it's going to be a little difficult to put it back in. And now let me lower it down, and I'll show you how to get the alternator out from the top. Okay, then first thing we're going to do before we go underneath the hood is we're going to go to the back area back here, and we're going to disconnect our battery, because the battery has got to be disconnected whenever you work on it. Alright, what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect the 10mm bolt right up on the top of the battery right here, and we're going to remove that cable. I always disconnect the negative, and the reason I say that is because you don't want to accidentally touch something in the trunk and burn out the a fuse or anything like that. So just take the cable totally away and relocate it 100% out of the way so it's not accidentally going to go back on there. And now we're going underneath the hood, and we'll get started on the alternator. Okay, now underneath the hood, here's where we're going to continue our work. We have the belt taken off already off the pulley. That's disconnected. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the electrical connectors that we can gain access to, and we're going to take out this bolt here, and then all the way down the bottom down here there's another bolt just like this here. We're going to take that out, and we're going to take this electrical connector off. Alright, the connector, you just squeeze the little tab right here, and it comes right off. Alright, and it unplugs right off the alternator. The power lead that's in here, we're going to do that once we move the alternator a little bit. So let's take out these bolts here, and then we're going to proceed a little further. They look like about 13mm, so let me get some wrenches and we'll get started. Okay. And now we're going to take out those bolts that we just talked about. Just break them loose, and then you should be able to rotate them out by hand. I believe there's 3 that hold this alternator in, but we'll see how it goes. One bolt. We're just going to keep them on the side for now and remember where they came from, because we don't know for sure if they're all the same length. And we're going to remove the other bolts. Most of the time, once you break them loose, you can take them out by hand, which is just what I'm doing right now. Match the bolts up with the others to make sure that they're all the same, and it looks like they're probably going to be the same length. So we'll see when the last one comes out. third one. And all the bolts are the same, so it doesn't matter where you put them, they're all the same. Now let's try to move the alternator so we can take off the power lead off the back of it and then remove it from the car. I'm just going to turn this and I'll show you how to get in there. Okay, what I did is I took the alternator and just turned it sideways after the 3 bolts were out. And then down right here, I'm going to turn this a little more. You take this little cover off of here, and there should be a 10mm nut. Actually, it's a 13mm nut. We're going to unscrew that nut right there, and we're going to take this cable off. This is our power lead to the alternator, so we're going to remove that cable, and then we're going to try to get the alternator out right through this spot here. So let me grab a wrench, and we'll see how it goes. Now we know we disconnected the battery in the trunk, so we don't have to worry about that. Tight spot to be working, so just take your time and have patience, and we'll get it out. Once you break that nut loose, you can unscrew that by hand also most of the time. Probably not going to need this because it's going to be coming with the new alternator. And what you're going to do is just pull that cable out of the way. Just relocate it to the side for now, and then we're going to try to get the alternator out right through this spot right here. We're just going to pull that to the side, and we should be able to get it out. Notice I said should. Remove this electrical connector here and just pull that out of the way so it gives us a little more room. And then we're going to pull the alternator. What was holding it is this was touching into the the power lead was touching into the radiator hose, and I didn't want to puncture it. That's why I took my time with it. All right, now we got the alternator out. Let's get the replacement. I'm going to lay it back in there and get this job wrapped up. Okay, this is our replacement. Remember I told you it's going to come with a new nut, and it did come with a new nut. So this one is actually trash. You don't need it. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to lay the alternator back in place just the way that we took it out. Now we know we took it out like this, so we're going to put it back in the same way. Don't drop it. You want to hold on to it. You don't want to accidentally break something by dropping the alternator in place. We're going to lay the alternator back in there exactly as it was before, so we can reattach our positive lead. I'll show you what I'm going to do. The new alternator comes with a new nut right here. We're going to take that nut off. There's also a lock washer on there too. We're going to take that lock washer off also, and then we're going to reattach our positive lead, because as we remember, you can't get your hand in there once the alternator is in this area back in here. You can't get to this power lead. So let's get the positive lead reconnected. All right, this is our lead. We're going to reconnect it on here with that new nut, and I'll connect it on, and we'll continue. Okay, now you got that nut tight back in here, and we slide that cover back over the top of it, and then we're just going to lay this back in here and line these up with the bolts right there and tighten it up. Fairly easy. And let me do that, and I'll show you how that goes. Now remember, all the bolts were the same, so it doesn't really matter which one goes where. Before you tighten any of the bolts all the way, just screw them in by hand so they're fairly tight. Get all the bolts caught in there first and tighten them down by hand, and then you tighten it with the ratchet. Put the third bolt in down the bottom. Again, you screw it in as far as you can by hand. I'm just going to tighten them down with a shorter ratchet. It gives me a little bit easier to maneuver down there, and then we'll snug it in real tight with the full-size ratchet. Once you've got them tightened up by hand, then you can go back in with a ratchet and snug them in there. And the dashboard. Alright, now we have all the bolts tight. We have our power lead, that's tight also. Now the only thing remaining that we have to do is plug in the electrical connector right here. And when you push it in, you'll hear it snap in place, so you know you're in all the way. That's it. Let me lift the car up, and we're going to put the fan belt back on from down the bottom. The next thing we're going to do is just going to put the belt on the way we took it off. What I always do is put the belt up in there around this here, and then just pull the last piece on, and you can put it around the air conditioner. Alright, and then once you have the belt on, we're going to take our tool back out, and just make sure that your belt is on the pulley here, and here, around your tensioner right there, and up on your alternator, which is right up inside there. Alright, let's lower it down. We're going to reconnect the battery, and we'll get it started. Okay, then we're going to come back into the trunk, and we're going to reattach our negative cable. Okay, get it out of the way. I'm just going to reattach it. Tighten up that 10mm nut. Alright, nice and tight. Alright, now we'll go back up front and we'll reconnect everything up front. Now remember, you can't start this vehicle until you get this snorkel back on here, because there's an airflow meter on here. So let's reattach this, and we'll get it back together. Okay, now Remember, we have to put that back on first and tighten it in place. I'll show you where that goes. Remember, underneath the bottom here where we took it off, it fits over the top, just like this. I'm going to put this down for 1 second because I need to slide that in place. Like that. Back on here where it belongs. We're going to tighten up this clamp inside here, like on the air intake. That's tight. Tighten up the one on the airflow meter. That's tight. And we're going to reattach that clip that we took out up inside here. Goes in like that, and you push that pin and it locks it in place. All right, now if everything is done right, you should start it up and you should be in good shape. So let's fire it up and make sure everything is clear. And we'll start it up and we'll put this cover back on in just a moment. That's it. Last thing you want to do before you button everything all up and close it up is look down there and make sure that your fan belt is on the alternator and on the accessory, like the tensioner and such as that. All right, and that's it. Then we put the rest of the covers back on up in here. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to come down inside the wheel well, down inside here where we took off the covers. We're going to put those covers back on, and that's it. We're all set. All right, thanks for watching. Hope you do okay. Any questions or comments, drop me a line, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.